Today we're going to have Mr. Crawford. I'm going to interview him. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Based upon 7 different topics. If there's a question you don't feel comfortable answering, feel free not to answer it.
Okay.
Alright, we're going to start off with pop culture. What dances did you learn in the 1960s? Or in the 1970s?
In the 60s and 70s, the dances, you know, it was the dog, the Philly dog, and we used to do, a lot of people don't dance like that today. They called it at that time the fast dance. You had the 2-step and the 1-step, which was a slow dance and all, and the penguin. And
can you demonstrate?
Well, the dog I'd rather not, because I don't think it would be conducive for youngsters to see some of the ways they danced when they did the dog. But when they did the penguin and all, I think I can do it on the floor over there, because I got on tennis shoes, so it's pretty hard to do it, you know. But those were the dances.
Oh, okay. All right. What was your favorite genre of music?
My favorite music?
Genre. Favorite type of music?
I liked music. I really liked a lot of slow music.
Slow music?
Yeah. The recording artists and all, and they had a lot of ballads and all. I like the slow dances and all, you know. And we used to be at the parties, and they'd have the variation of lights. You know, they have the yellow, red, blue lights at the parties and all. So we really had a good time. But I really like the slow dance more than anything.
What artist?
In that time frame, Freddie Jackson, Smokey Robinson, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Teddy Pendergrass, which I had been to his concert before he started singing on his own. He was with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and then he sprung out on his own as a lead singer. And those are the artists that I liked in that time frame, especially Teddy Pendergrass.
That's pretty cool. All right. Were you in a segregated school?
No, all of my life I've been in an integrated school. Matter of fact, I was the first of 25 Afro-Americans that integrated a junior high school in Illinois, and it was rough in that it was only 25 Afro-Americans at that school, and I was one of them. And you know, to have to deal with the racial slurs and things of that nature, you know, I didn't like that, but I made it through it, you know. And when I went to high school, I was in an integrated high school. We had like 1,200 students, and I think about 300 were Afro-American. But my most challenging experience was in the junior high, because there's only 25 out of an enrollment of about 600.
All right. Did you ever did you side with Martin Luther King or Malcolm X when it came to the civil rights?
Civil rights, Dr. Martin Luther King, because I'm an advocate of nonviolence. Yeah. I think that if 2 intelligent people sit down and express their views, I think over a period of time that they can come to some mutual agreement.
Growing up, did you have any white friends?
Yes, I did, but it was mostly in, I had some in junior high school and elementary school. I forgot to mention elementary. I was in an integrated elementary school too, but again, very few Afro-American. And yes, I did have Caucasian friends and all, but things were different in that time frame. Well, we were friends at school, however, I couldn't go over their house and they couldn't come over my house.
So it's something different outside the school?
It was different outside the school, but within the school they were always cordial. We each treated each other with respect, but you just got to remember the era. And this was in the 50s
Yeah.
and almost, and so it wasn't too popular with the integration outside of the school activities itself.
Okay, we're gonna move on to politics. Do you think it was politically right for them to send you to Vietnam?
Well, I don't take a political stature. I'm one that believes that if the military calls upon me, I'll serve wherever they have me to serve. There's one thing today that I disagree with. The volunteer army is great in that you get people that want to go in the military, and you probably don't have some of the issues you may have had when you were drafting people. But I've always supported the draft. I think that the discipline that instills in individuals that are able to serve in the military and being able to serve your country, protect your country, even though we weren't under any imminent danger at any given time, but it's always good to be there to serve in the military.
Let's see.
And there's one other thing I like to add too. And serving in the military too is great because there's benefits associated with it. I myself, after I returned back from Vietnam, and going to Southern Illinois University, I was going to school under the GI Bill.
Yeah.
And then there's other benefits for individuals too that serve in the military, and that is homes. I've never used my voucher for purchasing a home, although I still have it. I got it in my security box right now that was dated back in 1969, but veterans, when they came home, they had an opportunity through the Veterans Administration to acquire good housing too once they return home.
Okay. All right, what's your opinion on this quote? Here lies the black man fighting for a white man's freedom, killed by a yellow man.
Well, I think that as a black man, I didn't feel that I was fighting for a white man. I live here in the United States too, and my family, and when I speak of family, I'm speaking of my parents and sisters and brothers at that time before I even had my own family after I got married. I was serving in the military to protect them also, because if this country come under attack, the enemy doesn't look at nationality of people when they invade a country. Everyone's their enemy. And as far as fighting a yellow man, I don't see that to be a valid statement either, because if you look at the history of all the wars weren't had nothing to do with Afro-Americans protecting Caucasians and fighting Asians or people of other nationalities. If you look at the history of World War I, II, and those countries and all those nationalities, a lot of them weren't even involved in that time frame. It wasn't until you hit the Korean conflict and forward that you see some of the indications that you mentioned.
All right. What were your thoughts about fighting for a country that you didn't have equal rights in?
Well, like Dr. King, his statement, "We shall overcome." And I felt the day would come, not knowing the day that things would be better. And they are.
Yeah. All right. How many years did you serve in the war?
I was actually in the military 2 years because I got drafted. I spent a year in the States, and that was basic training and advanced individual training, then the jump school, and then non-commissioned officer school at Fort Benning, and then I was actually deployed for 1 year in Vietnam. Matter of fact, I ETS'd in Vietnam because when I came back, Vietnam veterans didn't have to do reserve duty. So when I hit foot on soil in St. Louis International Airport, I was out of the military. Now, I could have been called back had there been another national conflict, but reserve duty, I didn't have to perform any reserve duty.
All right. How did your views about the war change after the war?
Well, my views didn't change as much as I wish the outcome had changed. And you never know what's dictating the decisions of your superiors. And one thing I did not like, and that was the reception of Vietnam veterans when they came back to the States. With some of the graphics and some of the atrocities that happened there, a lot of Vietnam vets were labeled as potheads, baby killers, things of that nature. They served, and we don't know the breaking point of any individual, especially when you're involved in combat. But the reception, to me, was less than a welcoming reception for Vietnam vets.
Where in Vietnam were you stationed?
My base camp was on K.
On K?
On K, and on the map that I had, and that's spelled capital A-N and capital K-H-E. That was my base camp. All our maneuvers were from there, and it's funny to say now, at that time they didn't talk about frequent flyer miles, but we had frequent flyer miles on helicopter because all of the areas that we operated in, we were transported by helicopter, and then from there we operated on the ground, and then when we left those areas we were picked up again by helicopter, and we flew out in what they call acronym C8, which is combat assault.
What years did you serve in the war? What years?
I served in the war itself from 1968 to 1969. I was actually drafted in 1967.
67.
But actually abroad was 1 year.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.